Hello, Recapped Mystery here. Today, I'm going to explain a sci-fi, mystery, romance film, titled Reminiscence. Watch out and take care. Climate change will cause water levels to rise and flood cities in the near future. Extreme daytime temperatures have compelled the majority of the population to sleep at night. There hadn't been much to look forward to since the seas rose and battles erupted. That became a way of life for Nick Bannister and his buddy Emily Watts. Tank is a company that allows people to relive their experiences. Both are former warriors. Hank, an army buddy, makes use of it. Nick immerses him in a beautiful day 13 years ago. The recollection shown as a hologram with oral effects, in a calming voice. It feels like genuine life to the person. According to Nick's inner voice, this is like a drug, a reunion with a loved one, reliving the most crucial moments of their lives. The memories will swallow you if you are not careful. They're kept on compact flash discs, just as they're ready to close for the night. A walk-in customer, May, asks for their assistance in locating her misplaced keys. Nick is immediately drawn to her and decides to assist her. He administers the sedative, and she prepares to enter the tank. He starts to notice her memories of her morning ritual, and he can even see details in her room. Watts notices her putting the keys in her bag and dropping them in the dressing room, but he continues with the recollection nonetheless. Nick discovers she is a nightclub singer and strikes up a friendship with her while she sings his favorite song, Where or When. When May leaves, they notice she has forgotten her earrings. When the sun rises, Miami transforms into a ghost town, and falling asleep is difficult. The city comes alive at night. Nick offers Tank's services to the DA's office, and when a wealthy land baron walks free because he's sick, Nick narrates that the entire city is crooked. From May's memories, he enters the nightclub, she sings, they look into each other's eyes, and he toasts to her. He later returns her jewelry. They converse for a while. She tells him about her favorite recollection of a house in the middle of nowhere, and he walks her to her flat. They ultimately express their desires and enjoy an intimate moment there. They continue their chat on the roof, where he informs May that memories are like perfume, and that they are best in little quantities. They kiss, and she informs him that he might not have the correct memories just yet. At that point, Nick's vision blurs and he awakens in the tank. Watts is enraged that Nick is back in there. He's been doing it for months, reliving every memory he has of May. May has vanished without a trace, and Nick is hoping to uncover clues to her location in his recollections of her. He spends hours replaying his recollections of their connection, a risky practice that could keep him locked there indefinitely. Watts tells him that he must let her go and focus on their business. It dwindles, and even their usual customer Elsa stops visiting. Nick returns home and scribbles recollections in his journal because, even after all this time, May cannot leave his mind. He goes to the club where she used to work and begs her friends for leads, but he's fascinated with her. He eventually takes a sedative and returns to his memories, where all he does is spend time with May. Watts has set an alarm clock for him, which wakes him up. Someone is banging on the door, but he yells that it is locked. When he returns, he discovers May's earring in the sea. When Watts discovers the earring, she believes it has most likely been forgotten there for a long time. Avery Castillo, the district attorney, assigns Nick and Watts to collect the memories of a comatose defendant who worked for a narcotics boss dubbed St. Joe in New Orleans. They have not received any results after 12 hours. The reason for this is that dying people always desire closure, a good notion. Nick alters his approach, and the projector comes on. They glimpse the suspect in the man's memories. Nick also notices May. She was once at St. Joe's Club. The memory is from 5 years ago, and even though they are there for different reasons, Nick notices her. She had tried the highly addictive opiate back for the first time. The prosecution takes away the microphone and asks a question that the comatose suspect cannot remember, sending him into shock. Nick takes the microphone away from him once more and calms him down. He's still looking at May, wondering when he last saw her. Nick is heartbroken to discover that May has become an addict and St. Joe's mistress. May apparently stole St. Joe's stockpile of bacca before he left town. According to the memories, Watts was well aware that May was a junkie. Nick departs. He heads to New Orleans to learn more about May. He locates St. Joe's Club and enters under a phony name. When Nick confronts him, Joe soon realizes that he is not who he claims to be. Joe tortures him until he discloses that he is looking for May. Joe hasn't seen her since she robbed him and ordered his thugs to drown him. When Nick thinks all is finished, he observes a corpse floating in its Watts, and she's come to save him. There is a shootout. Watts kills a couple henchmen and shoots at the water tank. Although she was actually shooting for Joe, Joe pulls out his beloved dualies and fires at Watts, but misses at close range. Watts takes care of St. Joe while Nick attempts to subdue the man who is holding him. Nick has Watts reenact her previous encounter with May in Miami. He believes May took something from him. He suspects she was teasing him from the start. May spoke up about her back addiction at the time, and they had a lengthy talk about her and Watts' lives. Nick is enraged when she wakes up. She apologizes for concealing it from him, but he's unhappy since she got intoxicated and let her wander into the vault. Watts claims she couldn't have known the code even if she had the stolen keys. She's been studying Nick for months and it's not a code, it's a song. They discover that May took recordings of Elsa Carini, a customer who has repeatedly relived her meeting with a wealthy boyfriend. Nick goes to a food store and asks whether anyone has seen Elsa by giving them a picture of her. One of the owners points out a female who may have information. She flees, and he pursues her. He eventually catches up with her and calms her down. Nick learns from her that Elsa was recently slain and her small son was taken by a lady who resembles May. He starts to wonder who May was. He gets attacked while looking for May, and the man instructs Nick to forget about May. They repeated the memory several times, looking for clues, and discovered that the man who had attacked him was Cyrus, the corrupt cop who worked for St. Joe. People hoped that the court would break the sick land baron's monopoly, but his widow and son will receive everything. This is the point at which Nick begins to make sense of things. Cyrus had been employed by the land baron. He recalls witnessing Elsa's memories and recognizes the voice from somewhere. He relives Tamara's memories and discovers that the land baron had an affair with Elsa, with whom she had a son, a prospective successor to his estate. According to Nick's view, he sent Cyrus with May to remove any trace of the land baron's infidelity. So if you find Cyrus, he will eventually find May. Watts tries to convey to him that his love was phony and that he fell for it. He fires Watts and tells her that she is better off without him, but she begs him not to go down that path, claiming that he is obsessed. Nick tells her she needs to leave and pulls out his revolver. His aim is the widow, Tamara, who lives in the dry areas, the rich's domain. The butler welcomes him and informs him that he is an hour late. The home is crawling with individuals dressed in the same attire, but it turns out that the butler believes he is one of the persons disguised as Tamara's departed spouse who is performing for her today. Tamara's memory has been harmed as a result of her excessive use of the tank. Nick approaches her, and she points out a possible hiding spot for Cyrus and May. The guards send him out and pretends to shoot him, but when they see a mark that says he served, they let him go. Then he buys a boat and goes to the old recycling plants, where he observes and pursues May. He didn't find May, but he did find Cyrus. He tells her that the song she sang in her recollection whirlwind was not an accident. She wanted him to see it, so she studied him and duped him. Cyrus jumps out the window and descends to a lower level, where Nick follows. He tracks him down and they battle, with no one coming out on top. Cyrus nearly drowns before Nick can restrain him in a music room, but he dives in and helps him free himself, only to be left to drown himself. Cyrus recalls memories of May while holding her earring. Nick sedates him and takes him back to his office, where he connects him to the tank to view his memories. Before passing out, Cyrus warns him that the truth about May will break him apart. He witnesses Cyrus' first meeting with May. She also discovered Nick's acquaintance Hank, who told her about the song. Cyrus' recollections show that May's relationship with Nick was founded on deception. When he joined her in a plan to deceive Nick, she researched him to understand how to better entice him and contrived the loss of her keys. But the memories also show that May sincerely cared about Nick. When Cyrus murdered Elsa, May stole Elsa's boy and fled to an unknown destination with him. Cyrus is shocked when Nick tells him that she escaped him, hinting that this did not happen, that she did not escape. Nick calms him down in a trembling voice. May knocked on Nick's door, but he yells that it is locked from the inside. Cyrus grabs her, she drops her jewelry, and they drive away, with her declaring her love for Nick. She returned for Nick, He then questions Cyrus about what he did to her. Nick notices the recollection as May delivers a speech to Cyrus that is truly intended for him. She discreetly exposes Elsa's son's whereabouts to him and professes her undying love for Nick. May then takes a deadly amount of bacca and jumps to her death from a balcony, seeing only one way out of her circumstances. Nick is heartbroken. Nick, enraged, compels Cyrus to repeat his darkest memory, being burned in the face by the men of St. Joe's as punishment for stealing the earnings. Nick, like Damaro, sears that memory into him so that he can never recover from it. He travels to confront Sebastian, the legitimate son of the land baron, who has hired Cyrus to assassinate Elsa and his half-brother in order to secure his property. Tamara has said it, and Cyrus' recollection gave the remaining details, plus he has his phone. He learns that his half-brother is still alive, that the cops have located him, and that it won't be long before the detectives piece everything together. They'll be here soon. Sebastian snatches Nick's gun, but Nick is unaffected. The child lacks guts. Sebastian intends to commit suicide, but changes his mind and is later imprisoned. Nick apologizes to Watts and describes her as his sole friend who has always been there for him. Nick admits to Watts that he burned Cyrus' memory on purpose, which is a major crime. The town reacted rapidly to the land baron's actions, sparking a revolution. Nick is convicted and then permitted to serve his sentence by reliving his time with May, which is supposed to be the remainder of his life, using his machine. In his memory, Nick gives May a condensed version of the Orpheus and Eurydice narrative, which concludes with the lovers reunited and happy. Please subscribe to assist the channel, turn on notification and leave a like. Thank you for taking the time to watch. See you again soon.